Hello artists, and welcome to day 105 of the Epic Journey. It's good to be here and it's good to see you again. Today we're going to be talking about positivity. Now it may seem to you right off the bat that what does positivity have to do with art tutorials, and why is positivity taking up a spot in our Epic Journey? Well, I'm going to give you my point of view. I've been having quite a lot of conversations lately. I'm on this positivity kick. I've been having quite a lot of conversations with both non-artists as well as in-studio artists that I have with me here in the studio about positivity or about how one's emotional state can affect one's painting. I think with my interaction with students, what I've found more than anything else is self-esteem issues can very much affect your painting. Now, positivity is twofold. You can be positive about the outside world, the politics, possibly the things that go on around you, the ambient noise in your life. You can possibly be more positive about those things. It's easier to view other things positively. Although we don't. I think we tend to be a little bit negative about stuff that's going on around us. It's human nature. It's quite natural. But that's not the positivity that I want to harp on tonight. The positivity that I want to talk about is the positivity that comes from inside of you about yourself. It can be really difficult to be positive about who you are and what your abilities are. And I think as an artist, a lack of self-esteem carries through into our artwork. A lot of the times my artists will ask me how to do something, and I can see by what I'm looking at that they're doing it perfectly fine. In fact, sometimes they may be even doing it beautifully. But the fact that they're asking me about it tells me there's a deep-seated insecurity inside themselves that they need to be validated. They need somebody who they perceive, myself, who they perceive to be knowing what they're talking about, to validate what they're doing, because they are, on some level, unable to be secure about what they're doing without having some sort of validation by a person that they feel is more learned than themselves, which is not necessarily the case. I am no more learned than anybody else out there. I'm just more willing to put myself out there and make a fool of myself. And this is what I try to get through to my students a lot of the time, particularly those that have an insecurity about their artwork. You are your biggest fan. Now, I've discussed this on the Epic Journey before. I think it was way back early, the importance of being your biggest fan. You have got to be your biggest fan as an artist, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. Because there's a couple of things that will come through in your artwork. First of all, when you discuss your art with people, if you take the stance of, well, I'm still learning and I'm just a beginner, or alternatively, I'm not necessarily still learning, I've been doing this for a long time, but I'm just not naturally really very good. If you have that kind of attitude about your art when you're discussing your art with other people, whether it's true or not, that's how people are going to see you. Or they're certainly going to know that that's how you see yourself. What you project out there to your viewers as such is what you're going to be perceived as, even when they're looking at your art. So that's the one way that your self-esteem issues or your insecurity issues about you as an artist can affect your art, your projection of your self-image. That's number one. Number two is, if you're uncertain what looks good and what doesn't look good, and what my abilities are as an artist, your brush is going to hover a lot of the time over your canvas. Oh, I'm not too sure, or did I do that right? You need to portray confidence in your brushwork. A painting that has been done by an artist that doesn't necessarily believe in their own abilities as an artist, no matter how good it is or how beautifully talented they might be, there is a certain lack of confidence that is going to come through in the paintings. I don't know how to put this into words, because it's so easy for us to be self-deprecating. It's so easy for us to look at our work and go, it's not quite good enough, because we compare ourselves to other artists. The whole idea is not to compare yourself to anybody else. You are unique as an artist. What you produce is your work only. There's nobody that paints like you, and you don't paint like anybody else. Why should you compare yourself to somebody else? Nobody can do to a canvas what you can do to a canvas. Nobody can do to a canvas what I do to a canvas. Yesterday somebody said to me, and it was all along these lines of capability and negativity and positivity and self-esteem. Yesterday somebody said to me, yes, but you're so confident in what you do. It's about confidence. You're so confident in what you do. Am I? Yes, I am. If I really if I really analyze the situation, yes, I am confident. I know what I'm capable of doing. I also know what I'm not capable of doing, but I'm not going to allow my perception of what I can and can't do stop me from getting better at what I do. Stop me from exploring new styles or new techniques. I'm not going to stop at a line where I think, okay, beyond this line, I'm no longer capable. If I feel there is a line beyond which I'm not capable, I will push that line. And I will keep pushing until I become more capable. So the journey is always happening, always happening. It's not about being completely confident and I'm the best in the world and nobody can touch. It's not that. It's not arrogance. It's confidence. Be confident in who you are. Know what you can do. Also know that you are capable of more, that you are capable of pushing yourself harder, that you are capable of extending yourself with practice and with time. You can get to where you want to be. Artists, I cannot stress this enough. You have got to be your biggest fan. You have got to blow your own trumpet as an artist. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there. And if you're afraid to put yourself out there, then do it. Just do it. When you post your art onto Facebook, when you make a YouTube video, or when you do a painting and go and show it to people, you'll be surprised at how easy it was. The fear of doing it, the fear of putting yourself out there is actually more daunting than the act itself. But when you actually go there and you do that thing that most frightens you, you realize it wasn't so bad. And I think that's about everything in life. It's not only about painting. I think it's about everything. That the idea of something, the idea of abseiling down a cliff face is a lot more daunting than actually doing it. The idea of going for that job interview is more daunting than actually doing it. The fear of failure. The fear of failure holds us back so much. Do you know how many paintings I've screwed up? And there's one particularly that I screwed up on camera. The fear of failure can stop you, it can cripple you in so many ways. And that is so true for art as well. Don't be afraid to screw up. Don't be afraid to paint a bad painting, because every painting that is bad is good. Somebody's going to appreciate it, number one. Number two, it is a step in the right direction. It'll teach you something. It'll either teach you what you should be doing more of because it turned out really well, or it will teach you what you shouldn't be doing because no, that didn't quite work, you know. But it is not a failure. No painting is a failure. It might not necessarily be gallery worthy, but it is not a failure, because at the end of the day, every painting teaches you something. And the more you paint, the more you put your paintings out there, the better you will believe in yourself, the more confidence you will have as an artist. One of my favorite sayings, I've got two favorite sayings. One of my favorite sayings by my favorite artist was Van Gogh. He said, if you hear a voice inside of you that says you cannot paint, then by all means paint, and the voices will be silenced. And I believe that. I really do, because I've experienced that. There's been times that I've looked at it and go, oh, that is so mouth-wateringly beautiful. I don't know if I'll ever be able to create that. But I work and work and work, and the next thing I know, my line has been pushed, and I'm getting closer to that. My other most favorite saying is by an artist I do not like, and that was Picasso. Picasso said, inspiration is possible, but it must find you working. If you're sitting back and waiting for some kind of moment to happen, and all of a sudden you have this idea in your head, and it's, you know, it's never happened to me. I don't believe that inspiration comes from complacency. Inspiration does not come from a place of sitting back waiting. Inspiration comes from working. It's the same as having a good idea. The people that come up with good ideas have come up with 100 bad ideas before they get to that good ideas, because it's a process of idea making that eventually gets your brain working in this way of being able to put stuff together, and eventually it comes up as a good idea. And the same happens with painting. It's the process of painting that creates inspiration. It's the process of working that creates inspiration. If you find yourself blocked as an artist, like they talk about writer's block, sure, you get artist block. I've been blocked a couple of times as an artist. And the only way to get out of that is to start creating. Now, what it is that you create is not important in terms of getting yourself out of some sort of block. Just sit down and paint. Forget about what you think people might think of this painting. You don't have to ever put that painting in a gallery. You don't ever have to show that painting to another human being. It's an exercise to get yourself through something. The process of creating actually unblocks your creativity. As Picasso said, inspiration is possible, but it must find you working. You work to a place of inspiration, just like you work to a place of accomplishment in your art, like you will work to a place of accomplishment in any other feat that you might take on. If you're a sports person, you've got to work to fitness. You've got to become painting fit. And that only happens with working out every day. You know, I advise my in-studio artists, and I advise you too, to do a small piece of artwork. If you're a working person, you don't have time to sit down and do a painting a day, that's fine, absolutely fine. But you can find 10 minutes to an hour every day to do some sort of artwork. Do a drawing while you're sitting watching TV, or at your lunchtime at work, draw your coffee mug. Produce art every single day in a small amount or a large amount, doesn't matter, just do it every day, because that working is what creates the inspiration, and it also creates confidence. The more you try, the more you extend yourself, and the more you see how successful you are at doing something that you previously didn't think you could do, the more your confidence builds up. Art is so incredibly individual, so incredibly unique. It belongs to you and only you, and you have got to be a champion of your own artwork. And yes, I am not where I want to be. You know, in my mind I have this picture of what I want to create, what I want to become accomplished at as an artist, and I'm not there yet. I talked about this a few days ago in the Epic Journey. I'm not there yet, but I'm not going to hide away in my art room here and practice day after day after day in the hopes of maybe one day breaking out into the art world when I feel I've reached my pinnacle. Nonsense. It's a learning process. The whole of your art career is a learning process. Life is a learning process. And you just got to go along for the ride, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Don't keep yourself hidden just because you feel you haven't achieved what you want to achieve yet. Your art now is good. Your art in 10 years' time will be better, sure. But that doesn't mean that the art that you're producing now must be hidden away. Not at all. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to produce bad paintings. Don't be afraid to take negative criticism, and don't be afraid to believe that you are the best artist in the world, because you are, because you're you, and nobody else paints like you. And that is all I have to say about that. And it's an important thing. I really do. I really believe it's an important thing to have the confidence in yourself as an artist. So artists, of course, like I'd say every time at the end of a video, unless I forget about it sometimes, please, please, please like and share. Please join us tomorrow for the Epic Journey. So, you know, like and share and spread it around and invite your friends to join us. And I'll see you tomorrow in, I don't know, I think it's 105. Is it 104 or 105? Maybe it's 106. I don't know. But whatever it is, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. That's what you want to do.